Take a look at this temperature gauge right here. What do you got? 30 degrees Fahrenheit, -1 degree Celsius. Stuff's freezing outside, guys. You got frozen puddles outside. Everything's cold. You can see your breath outside. Stuff's getting cold. Now let's say you just moved from Texas, Tennessee, something like that, up north, maybe even to Canada, who knows? And you're trying to winterize your project vehicle. You never done it before? You need a quick step-by-step guide. Well, don't look any further from your chum Coltet in the Canadian North. It gets a lot colder here than 0 degrees, so we gotta winterize this truck and get it ready for storage. Let's go through everything I do to properly winterize your vehicle and make sure that it's ready to rock and roll for next year. Welcome to High House Stable Garage. So, first things first, get it set up somewhere where you're going to store it. Ideally where you're not going to move it 30,000 times all throughout the winter. This isn't its final resting place. It's going to be over there. Alrighty. So, we're under the hood of our faithful jalopy. This is numero uno that I want to do. So what you want to do is fill your gas tank or diesel tank all the way up. You don't want any moisture to collect in your tank. That's how the tanks rot. They rot up at the top from sitting. But you also want to add some fuel stabilizer inside that and run the vehicle and allow that fuel stabilizer to run through the entire circuit. There's a lot of guys that just throw it inside the tank. Hopefully that's going to help everything. But you have all these lines that will gum up and everything until next year. So run your fuel stabilizer all throughout your tank. Then, as long as you're in the spot where the vehicle is going to be, you can move on to step two. Step two, easy peasy. You got your battery here. If you spent the money on like an Optima or something like that, you could leave it connected. But to safeguard it, undo this guy, throw him in a nice heated area. Ideally, full charge. But that way, it's not even out in the cold, not even out inside the vehicle. You don't have to worry about it freezing and not being reliable. Batteries go bad when basically they're discharged, there's no more power. And when there's no more power, they can freeze. A battery can't freeze if it has full juice. So, take your battery out, keep it in a nice warm area. It's going to be okay till next year. So, let's go ahead and do that. On the battery. Next thing you're going to want to do is when you hook up your battery, you want this guy to be full charge. What I recommend, if it's cold and if it was low charge when you took it out, put it to the winter trickle charge. It will slowly add juice to it. Not the 30, not the 60, not the 85. Just a slow 2 amp charge. Come back to it in maybe a day, whatever. Use a smart charger. It will shut off automatically. Your battery will be fully charged. Load test it. Then if it's all good, put her up somewhere where it's nice and warm. Leave it there till you're basically ready to rock and roll with the vehicle. Now, some other things that I've seen some fellas do is if the vehicle is going to be sitting for a long time, you're talking 6 months, whatever, in kind of a non-climate controlled area, outside or in a barn, whatever, on their linkages, they spray out just a little bit of WD-40. Nothing even too drastic like a fluid film or anything like that. Just something to add a little bit of lubricity to it. That way, when you go to start it later on, it's okay. And they also do that maybe a little bit to the spark plugs. Pull those out, spray just a tiny bit of fog inside, close it back up. It'll be basically ready for you with the spark plugs back in when you go and start it up. A little smoky, but you'll already have the cylinder walls nice and lubed up. Here's another one you guys might not think about if you lived in a nice warm climate your entire life and you bring your project car up north and it's going to be sitting for a little bit. Your coolant. Your coolant has to basically be rated for the temperature or else, like every other liquid, it's going to freeze. When it freezes inside an engine block, ice has incredible hydraulic power. It will crack that block, push out freeze plugs. They call them freeze plugs down here, but they're an expansion plug. Push out your expansion plugs, all that stuff. It'll wreak havoc on your systems, basically. Bus radiators. I've seen it do it all. What you want to do? Check your fluid. they have a pH tester. Check that. Make sure that the fluid that's in it is going to be rated for it. If not, go get some additive, put it in. You might have to run your vehicle again, so maybe you should have done that before you took your battery out, you know. But you're going to want to pH test it. Make sure it's not going to freeze on you. If it's water inside, drain it. Pull your lower rad hose. Pull your drain petcock on your rad. Empty your reservoir. Drain everything. Add new rad fluid to it. Trust me, you're going to be saving a lot of money if it doesn't freeze. This guy, he's all fine there. His coolant's actually rated to negative 65 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's pretty darn cold, I can tell you that much. So we're not going to have any problems with this guy coolant-wise. What a lot of guys do too, right before they put their vehicle away, is they change their oil. A lot of these project cars don't see enough use throughout the entire year for them to change their oil, but it's good to change it once a year just so you don't have a whole bunch of water accumulation inside your oils and stuff like that. Because oil has a life expectancy, guys. They get acidic over years, stuff like that. So a lot of guys change their oil right before they put it in. That way when they take it out, they can pretty much just fill up the tank and away you go. You don't have to worry about anything. Food for thought. All right, so you're at the point now, you're basically ready for cold storage. Hot storage, whatever. This video is more on cold storage, I guess I should say. So, if this is where you're going to be putting your vehicle, you got to do two things, especially inside a barn like this. Number one, you got little critters that run all through here. Mice, maybe a squirrel or two. I've seen squirrels living in the walls of this barn before. They love old vehicles. They love to sneak up inside them, all that stuff, and just go to town. So, you got to protect them a little bit. What I've seen guys do before is you can put Irish spring bars, mothballs, mouse traps, that kind of stuff. But the best way is going to be the traps. And what you want to do is you put the traps, 5 or 6 of them, underneath the vehicle. And if you're in here daily, let's say, often enough, you're going to check your traps, make sure that you never got one. And if you did, that's where you clean it. You finish it, you put a new one. You catch them before they get in, because if you put mothballs and Irish spring bars and stuff, they're inside the vehicle already. It's kind of the last line of defense. You might as well catch them before they even get in there. You know what I mean? It's not a bad idea to throw 1 or 2 Irish spring bars, maybe a couple mothballs, all in on the inside if you don't plan on opening the doors much. Kind of keeps them away from all the valuables that are inside from this chewing on everything, all the wiring and stuff on the inside that you work so hard to put back together. Keeps all those little teeth away if you put them in there, but hopefully your traps got them before. Again, if you're not moving the vehicle, that's where you're going to do it. Another thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to make a vapor barrier on the bottom of your vehicle and drive up over it. That being a tarp, usually of some type of variety, or something that stays dry like this concrete here. Concrete sweats a little bit, but if you're going to park it on this dirt, let's say, the moisture content is going to be a lot higher in here than it is out there. If you're storing it outside, complete cold storage, when something freezes, it's not melting again. In here, when you turn on your big heater, stuff like that, it's going to melt all the time. If you're going to park it like somewhere like there, put a nice big tarp. That way the vapor can't get up and rust your body. Everyone loves a good barn find, but more often than not, if they're parked on dirt, give it 30 years, 20 years, whatever, and they're all rotten on the bottom anyway. The barn finds that are good are parked on wood, concrete, or gravel. Very, very seldom it's dirt. Now that's all you really have to worry about when you're storing a vehicle. Keeping the moisture away, making sure your radiator fluid isn't going to freeze on you and break everything. Making sure your battery is going to be 100% for next year. Another thing you can do on storage, just little tiny tip, if you want to make sure that your tires aren't going to be flat spotted next year, it has happened before. If you have a cheaper set of tire, or if you have like a bias ply, something like that, and you're just worried about them, like a Coker tire, something like that, on a really nice restoration vehicle that they're hard to get, jack up your vehicle so there's no weight on the suspension and the tires. That way, nothing sacks out. There's no flat spots, nothing. You can work with it like that, but on a truck like this, it's not a big concern. We're going to burn the tires off anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this quick little video. We're at the stage now, winter. If you don't have it stored already, you don't have a lot more time to do her. You've been lucky with the weather like we have. But you basically got to get your butt in gear and get that sucker away for next year. I'll catch you guys in the next one really, really soon. All right, see ya.